What it do, citizens of P-Town? You've read the title of this video. This is going to be my full, complete movie collection video. When it comes to the things I like, I'm a gamer first. As you can see with some of my video games right here, I'm a gamer first, and I'm a cinephile second. I love movies, and at some point, I wanted to cover the movies that I liked more in depth. And so I figured after recently reaching the milestone of 100 different movies owned, why not let's go over the entire movie collection? I've been collecting at least actively since 2020, so about 3 years as of right now. And yeah, so in this video, I'm just going to go over all the movies I own. I'm going to just talk about a little bit about every single one of them, why I own it, how much I enjoy it, how many times I've rewatched it since owning it, how my reception to the movies have changed since owning it, and yeah, just kind of give you all a glimpse into my movie taste. Even if this isn't all of them, I think it should show a pretty good idea. So let's not waste any more time. Let's get into my 100 movie collection. All right, we're going to come down here for a little bit of a more easier angle, accessible angle to see. We're going to start with the DVDs. So I have about, let's double check. I have a total of 44 different DVD cases encompassing across 54 movies. Starting off at number one in alphabetical order is A Silent Voice, one of my all-time favorite anime movies. It's a very poignant, genuine movie. If you're into anime, chances are you've heard of A Silent Voice. It came out in Japan in 2016, and that was the year of Your Name. But a lot of people do compare A Silent Voice and Your Name because of both their touching themes as well as their characters and just great direction. This movie has great music, amazing direction, and like I said, consistently touching and very heartfelt. Definitely recommend it if you haven't seen it yet. Up next, we have The Big Lebowski, one of my all-time favorite comedies. As you can see, it hasn't been opened yet. I haven't really rewatched this movie since owning it. Haven't really had the chance to, but probably will look forward to it soon because I definitely want to rewatch another Coen Brothers movie, which you will see later on. But one of my favorite comedies. Definitely recommend Big Lebowski. Yeah, this glare kind of sucks. Let me just try to. Okay. So next we have the first of multiple Bruce exploitation movies in this one, Bruce Lee from Beyond the Grave. If you know about kind of what happened and transpired after Bruce Lee's death is that there was a lot of Bruce exploitation movies, and so they're pretty much movies where they casted people who looked like Bruce Lee and who acted like Bruce Lee, pretty much kind of getting that Bruce Lee character type, and they replaced it with names like Bruce Lie, for example. This character is Bruce K.L. Lee, but spelled like Lea. Bruce Lie, Bruce Lee spelled with one E, Bruce Lee with spelled with Ly and stuff like that. This is just one of the many Bruce exploitation movies, and I don't like them for the most part, but we own them. You'll see multiple of those throughout the collection. Next, you have The Boy and the Beast, which is one of Mamoru Hosoda's films. I do prefer one of his other movies that I do own, and I have talked about before. As far as The Boy and the Beast, I actually thought it was okay. Didn't really come away too much with it with my first watch. Haven't watched it since. Maybe I'll rewatch it soon, but that's not really in the cards right now. But still own The Boy and the Beast. Up next is Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. This is a martial arts masterpiece for those who were around during the Oscar season that this movie was eligible for. This was definitely on the front runner for many Oscars. It won Best International Feature, Best Cinematography. It was nominated for Best Picture. As far as martial arts movies breakthrough in America, in the West, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon is one of those. You know what I mean? There's Enter the Dragon. There's much of Jackie Chan's career, but then there's also, as far as individually, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. If you have not seen any martial arts movie before, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon to me is a masterpiece. Amazing portrayal of themes, great characters. It's just a beautiful movie to look at, whether or not it's the action sequences or, like I said, its portrayal of its themes. And like I said, this is your first martial arts movie. Not my personal favorite, but I do think it's perfect for what it set out to accomplish, and it's not a bad one to start with. Up next, you have another Bruce exploitation movie, which is the Dragon's Internal Showdown. Dragon Lee is this Bruce Lee Bruce exploitation character. Once again, it's okay. They try to copy the Bruce Lee formula in an inferior way. That not much to say about that. Drive, one of multiple Film Bro associated movies in my collection. I've come to terms with. I genuinely love Drive. Like many other many other people. this was kind of a lot of people's introduction to Ryan Gosling as a serious actor. And now he's gone on to become one of my favorite actors. And it started with Drive. Amazing direction from Nicholas Winding Refn. Yeah, like I said, really great direction, so well directed, really great performances, especially from Ryan Gosling. Amazing movie, amazing movie. If you haven't seen Drive, you check it out. You know, if you're in the know for movies, and chances are you at least heard of it. All right, up next, one of the most important movies to me ever. It is Enter the Dragon. If I don't have a definitive favorite movie, but if I had to pick one, it would probably be Enter the Dragon. It's probably the most important movie, as far as how it shaped my life. Don't really hold this in like a super sentimental value, right? It didn't like save me from like a dark place, something like that. But this was the movie that got me into movies. It was the movie that got me into martial arts movies, which is my favorite genre. It got me into action movies. It got me into video games a little bit because there was a Bruce Lee video game on the Game Boy. And that was one of the first Game Boy games I played. So that was my introduction to video games, as well as, because I started loving martial arts, I wanted to watch anime like Naruto and stuff like that. So very crucial movie. So yeah, Enter the Dragon. If you haven't seen it, once again, highly recommend this. And you might assume that I would recommend any and every movie that I have on this list, but if there's anything you should take away from, it'll be Enter the Dragon. And speaking of Bruce Lee, we have another Bruceploitation movie, which is Exit the Dragon, Enter the Tiger. This is one of the better Bruceploitation movies. Still wouldn't recommend this over many other martial art movies out there. But like I said, one of the better Bruceploitation movies. As a kid, I used to think that, this movie was about Bruce Lee, and he knows Bruce Lee, and I thought it was real. I was like, oh man, this is one of Bruce Lee's friends. He's in a movie. Donnie Darko. This is a cult classic. A movie that is endless fun to rewatch and to just, if you've seen Donnie Darko, um, yes, really a lot of layers, a lot of great foreshadowing, and it's a compelling movie to watch. It's a mainstream cult classic, but it's one that I follow. I love Donnie Darko. It's great to rewatch. I haven't rewatched in about a couple years, but I do really enjoy this movie quite a bit, and of course it's constantly rewarding with each rewatch. Up next, we have Jet Li's Fearless. This is Jet Li's last wuxia, traditional martial arts movie that he ever filmed. This was like, let's see, 2007 is my guess. Maybe a little bit earlier or later than that. No date on here, but yeah, 2006. Okay, so 2006, 2007. So fairly recent. I mean, a little bit ago, but not my favorite of Jet Li's movies, but definitely a good final wuxia movie to go out on. My most watched movie of all time, Finding Nemo. It's my most watched movie ever. I've not rewatched any movie more than I have Finding Nemo. And yeah, I don't think this is necessarily a movie that you think is a 10 out of 10 when you first watch it. But like I said, because I can literally say that I have not seen any other or rewatched any other movie more than Finding Nemo, I can say that Finding Nemo still holds up with every single rewatch. And so that's why it's one of my all-time favorite movies and my most rewatched. Gotta have it. Another Bluesploitation movie, Fist of Fear, Touch of Death. They're kind of combining multiple titles here. It's like don't really gotta say anything about that. Another Bluesploitation type thing. Furious 7. I enjoy the Furious movies. They're not like my favorite action franchise, but I think I got this one for only a few bucks, so why not? I think they're pretty entertaining. Okay, that's the first section. We are still got plenty of DVDs to go, so let's not slow down. We got Howl's Moving Castle. You're going to see multiple Studio Ghibli movies on this list. I'm a huge Studio Ghibli fan. Hayao Miyazaki specifically is probably in my top 2 favorite directors ever, and Howl's Moving Castle is just a classic. Great love story. And you get to hear Christian Bale's Batman before Batman Begins comes out, so in the dub. So definitely recommend Howl's Moving Castle if you haven't seen it. If you are on this video on this channel right now through my anime videos, chances are you've seen Howl's Moving Castle. We have the Indiana Jones complete collection, at least at the time, before the recent Dial of Destiny. But this has Indiana Jones 1 through 4. As you guys know, I love the first 3 movies, adore them, especially with Temple of Doom being probably my top 5 movies ever. So yeah, just had to have it. And, like I said, at the time, this was the full collection. Don't know if I'm going to be getting Dial of Destiny, to be honest. This video is not going to be my review for Dial of Destiny, but on one hand, maybe I should have it just to have the collection completed, but also I'm not really feeling too good about Dial of Destiny. But anyways, these first three movies, amazing. Crystal Skull, I've sort of come around to. Um, Not quite to the same extent, but you know. Next up, we have Hulk. This is Ang Lee's Hulk. I think this is fun. I think this is fun. This is a fun movie. Not one of Ang Lee's best, but still fun. Okay, Hulk. Inside Llewyn Davis. This is one of my favorite Coen Brothers movies. I kind of love the kind of melancholic tone that the Coen Brothers approach with Inside Llewyn Davis, alongside their classic trademark black humor. This movie features amazing performances from the likes of Oscar Isaac, Carey Mulligan, and a little bit of John Goodman, which is always great, and some music. I love the use of music in this movie. Some great folk stuff, performances by the cast. Amazing movie. My second favorite Coen Brothers movie, and as you guys know, Big Lebowski is one of my top three favorite comedies, alongside one of my favorite movies ever. So I love Inside Llewyn Davis. I'm gonna rewatch this soon. I plan to. Don't know when, but I know I had that on the agenda. Up next, we have a perfect martial arts movie, and you know what? For the most part, I think pretty much all of them, except for the Bruce exploitation movies, I would consider all the other martial arts movies I own masterpieces, and that includes Iron Monkey, a very short and sweet martial arts movie with some really entertaining action, a fun vigilante story. You get to see Donnie Yen in one of his earlier roles, so that's always a lot of fun. And yeah, you get to see a kid kicking ass too. And growing up as a kid watching martial arts movies. I always related to like the younger protagonist. And if there's ever like a young kid who's a martial artist in martial arts movies, I always love that. And in Iron Monkey, it features that. So yeah, like I said, short and sweet. This movie is just barely 90 minutes, and you get a lot of amazing quality action, just a very tight, straight to the punch story. And yeah, really fun stuff. Check out Iron Monkey. It is perfect. Up next, you have the Ip Man 4 movie collection. I don't believe there's going to be a fifth one. There's That's a conversation another day. But all four of the Ip Man movies, this is one of, if not the best, modern martial arts franchise. These movies are so consistent. Donnie Yen, kind of with this series and amongst later films, but he definitely stood out among the likes of Jackie Chan and Jet Li, of still being able to be a part of amazing, phenomenal movies past the 2000s, right? Past the 90s. So, I love the first three especially. I mean, the first one is perfect. The second and third one are also great. Definitely feels very fictional, but they're great. Fourth one, but still some great action. Had to have it. Had to have it once the series wrapped up, and hopefully it stays wrapped up. Here we have a triple feature, which includes Jet Li's. It's a Jet Li triple feature. It includes his movies Fist of Legend, The Enforcer, and Tai Chi Master. With Tai Chi Master being, to me, the martial arts masterpiece, at least within this triple feature. Tai Chi Master is one of my all-time favorite martial arts movies. It's funny. It's got some amazing martial arts scenes, some really great choreography, stunts, wire work. It's another very tight story. Highly recommend. Tai Chi Master is such an accessible movie, and that's what I think. And I do enjoy the other movies too, but I mainly got that triple feature for Tai Chi Master. Moving on, we have none other than John Woo's Hard Boiled. As far as action in which they pull the trigger, you know what I mean? Firearm action. I think that Hard Boiled is the best action movie ever made. I think it's the coolest movie ever made too. And I got this at Book Off for only like a few bucks, so totally and completely worth it. This is one of my, well, you might hear this. I sound like a broken record here, but it's one of my all-time favorites. And like I said, if you love action such as in John Wick, and if you like the firearm action in there, give Hard Boiled a shot. It is not dated at all. You're gonna love it. All right, you're gonna love it. Next, we have, well, speaking of John Wick, we have the first John Wick movie. Actually, we have John Wick 1 and 2 right here on DVD. Apologies for the glare. I mean, even though I do prefer, martial arts movies and, Hong Kong action movies of the 80s and 90s, when it comes to modern action franchises, John Wick is the series. All right, John Wick is the series. Don't think I need to elaborate further. We have King Kong, Peter Jackson's King Kong. This is one of the first DVDs I ever owned. It was I was among the first kind of like trio of movies I asked for my birthday. And this was, you could kind of look at this movie as like the start of my movie collection many years ago, before I actually started building in 2020. But honestly, I love the scope of Peter Jackson and his take on King Kong. I love the action. I love the visual effects. And, I've seen the original King Kong and I really enjoyed it. And so yeah, I hold this one pretty closely. I do generally enjoy this movie. Also, side note, I used to own the original 1960s King Kong versus Godzilla. Really old movie before the recent one that came out this decade. I used to own the original one, and I do really enjoy that movie. I'm a fan of that one, but it got lost. I think it got lost in one of my mom's old cars before she switched. The original King Kong versus Godzilla would have probably been the most obscure movie that I own. As you can see, the rest of these are all mainstream titles. But anyways, that's just a little side note. Okay. Next group. So many movies. I mean, 100 of them to be exact. Next up, we have, it says on the tagline, Jet Li's epic classic. This is Jet Li's The Legend, or alternatively titled Fong Sai-yuk. And this is when Jet Li portrays the Chinese folk hero, Fong Sai-yuk. And there's two movies, and they're awesome. They're awesome. They're a lot of fun. I mean, you're gonna hear me say this about martial arts movies in general, but like I said, they're my favorite genre. Amazing action, amazing choreography. I think Jet Li is probably the master of wire work and that over the top type of a fighting where they're stacking up on random objects that are jumping through the air. I think Jet Li is kind of the master at that, and that includes Jet Li's The Legend. Up next, we have yet another Jet Li movie and yet another one of my absolute all-time favorites, Jet Li: The Legend of the Red Dragon, or alternatively titled A New Legend of Shaolin. This also features a super young kid kicking ass. All right, he's like, I don't know how old this kid is. He looks like 2 feet tall, and he's like this fucking martial arts master, and it's awesome. The choreography is once again very over the top. The dub kind of sucks, I gotta say, but still incredibly fun. You're gonna hear me say that a lot when it comes to martial arts movies. But watch martial arts movies. Like take really any of these martial arts movies I own as recommendations. I need more people on it. Need more people on it. Okay, Logan, probably my favorite superhero movie ever. And as far as recent years, within the last 10 years or so, this is on my rotation for like my most rewatched movies. I think Hugh Jackman is absolutely incredible in what was initially his last outing as Wolverine before Deadpool 3 was in development. But amazing action. James Mangold really made a superhero masterpiece here. Like I said, it's probably my favorite superhero movie ever. And there's definitely some great superhero movies out there. So yeah, Logan, adore it, never gets old. And speaking of never getting old, I mentioned this in my Christopher Nolan ranked video. Memento. If you've seen the movie, you know what I have to say about Memento. Endlessly rewatchable. All right, moving on. We have My Neighbor Totoro, a comfort film essential. Okay, this movie is just all vibes, all good vibes, no substance. Put this on whenever you're having a bad day. If you need a smile, if you need to just feel that childhood wonder. Hayao Miyazaki, you, master at this vibe. Okay, still not even my favorite Studio Ghibli movie, but we'll get there. But anyways, My Neighbor Totoro. Like I said, if you know anime, then probably no introduction. Okay, we need to make new stacks here. I got a lot of movies piling up. We have Mulan 2. For whatever reason, we don't have the original Mulan. I think that that reason has kind of subsided since the creation of Disney Plus. But for whatever reason, I have Mulan 2. It's okay. It's cool to see all the characters together again. And it's got some iconic videos like Lesson Number One. That's a pretty iconic song. But otherwise, you don't need to rewatch Mulan 2 if you are a fan of the original. Yeah. Nacho Libre. Jack Black is perfect in this movie. All right, this movie is genuinely hilarious. As a former professional wrestling fan, what could you not like about this movie? I like how it kind of parodies it. I like it also pays kind of homage to wrestling. It's over the top. It's consistently hilarious. Jack Black's Ignacio, as I've said in one of my older videos of my favorite movie characters, is one of my favorites ever. So Nacho Libre, an essential. The Nice Guys, another one of Ryan Gosling's movies that really proves his range as an actor. For those who have seen Barbie, or you've heard of Barbie, the movie Barbie by now. For those who heard when Ken got casted when Ryan Gosling got casted as Ken, having seen and having been a fan of The Nice Guys, I knew that Ryan Gosling was perfect for Ken. I knew he was going to nail it, and sure enough, he did. He stole the show, and that includes this movie. This movie is very witty, very humorous. A lot of people in the movie community kind of say that The Nice Guys takes place in like the same universe as The Big Lebowski, and I love that idea. I love that idea for sure. All right, up next we have Old Boy. This is a movie that's super compelling to rewatch, not a fun rewatch for those who have seen it. This movie is not a fun to rewatch. Um, but you know, when you first watch the movie, you're like, okay, what are these random scenes? What are these like really weird and creepy scenes? Why are they going on for so long? Why is it dragging a little bit? And then you get to the end and you're like, oh, okay. And then you rewatch and you're just like, no, no, no. It's very vague. I'm being very vague for those who haven't seen it yet. But for those who have, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Old Boy, one of Park Chan Wook's best movies, really is a neo noir classic. And I haven't been that big of a fan of neo noir. The Perks of Being a Wallflower, one of the few coming of age movies that I own, if not that I like. I think coming of age is just a movie genre that just kind of flies past me. But The Perks of Being a Wallflower is a very genuine and heartfelt display. And I think the fact that the director is the author of the original book really helps sell and adapt this movie. This movie probably is as perfect of an adaptation as you can get. And moving on, one of my favorite Christopher Nolan movies is The Prestige. Amazing, amazing. I've already said my thoughts on this. You already know. So, The Prestige. Oh, okay. We're on the final stack of at least the DVDs. One of my absolute all-time favorites, Princess Mononoke. This is one of the a movie essential for me. Whereas Enter the Dragon was the movie that got me into movies. Princess Mononoke was the anime that got me into anime. Right, so I owe a lot to this movie. I think it's a masterpiece. It's my favorite Studio Ghibli movie, and it's a very stacked lineup. So to say that's my favorite should be illustrating how much I love this movie. I just love rewatching this to just get transported. Perfect. It's perfect movie. My foot's falling asleep right now, so I'm trying to move around. Next up, we have Denis Villeneuve's Prisoners. Great movie. One of Denis Villeneuve's best. Amazing performances from Hugh Jackman and Jake Gyllenhaal. Amazing in terms of atmosphere and tension. Definitely recommend it if you haven't seen it yet. Okay. Next up, we have The Real Bruce Lee, another Bruceploitation movie. It features kind of both a mix of, it uses rare footage from Bruce Lee's life as well as reconstructions. One of the better Bruceploitation movies, but once again, still want to recommend this over any other Bruce Lee movies. Robots. Robots is good. Robots is a good movie. Scooby-Doo and the Witch's Ghost. So this is the first movie that I ever owned. I have an aunt who isn't related to me. She's one of my mom's closest friends. I'm sure that anybody watching this can relate to that, having a relative that's not their relative, right? And so she got me this for Christmas. I never sent her a list. I didn't really expect to get anything from her or try to get anything from her, but she still made the effort to get something for me. So she got this movie without me indicating at all. I never indicated that I wanted this movie or was a fan of Scooby-Doo, but she got me this movie. And yeah, so shout out to Auntie for getting me something even though she didn't need to. So Scooby-Doo and the Witch's Ghost. I thought it was very scary when I watched it. Very scary. So effective. We have David Fincher's Seven. So this is I bought this movie because it was only a few bucks, and at the time I'd never seen it before. So I'm like, okay, yeah, let's give it a first watch. Watched it, I enjoyed it, but didn't really love it first time. I think it's a good movie, but I was like, probably won't ever watch it again. But as of recently, there's kind of a little tingle in my brain. It's like, hey, Preston, like I think you should rewatch Seven again. I think you're gonna really enjoy it the second time around. So maybe look forward to a reevaluation soon. So we'll see. But I own Seven. Kira Kurosawa's masterpiece, Seven Samurai. This is one of the greatest movies of all time. It's one of the most influential and copied movies ever. Amazing direction and visual style and editing and use of movement and weather and blocking and groups. Akira Kurosawa really popped up with this movie. It is a 200-minute monster, but a really great one and essential for film lovers. Might get some more Akira Kurosawa, but for now, that's all I have. Shaolin Deadly Kicks. So this is not a Bruceploitation movie for once, but this is kind of like a martial arts B movie. It's okay. Spaceballs, my all-time favorite comedies. I don't care what you say. I think this movie's hilarious. I think Mel Brooks really nailed the parody and a spoof of Star Wars, Star Trek, 2001, the occasional Indiana Jones. I think that Mel Brooks really popped off with this one. Not considered his most important movies as far as cinema goes, like compared to Young Frankenstein or Blazing Saddles, but my favorite of Mel Brooks. All right, if I'm gonna be real, with y'all. Next up, we have the three movie collection of the first three Transformers movies. To me, the only ones really worth watching or owning. As a huge fan of Transformers, I had to own the three of them. I love the first one. The second one is not really good, but it's also like a hot mess, so it's still like really entertaining, flashy. And the third one, Transformers: Dark of the Moon, is my favorite blockbuster ever. I think when it comes to movies where you just want to stuff your face with popcorn and watch explosions on screen, it doesn't get any better than Dark of the Moon, in my opinion. So I had to own it as a big Transformers fan. Gotta have it. Where the Red Fern Grows. Maybe you read the book when you were young or watched the movie. I personally really enjoyed the movie, and I also do remember asking this for Christmas once when I was very young. I've never rewatched it since then, but um, apart from running out of room, I'm not really looking to put this out of my collection anytime soon. So yeah, there you have it. Where the Red Fern Grows. Warrior. Um, as an MMA fan, I loved Warrior, and if you're an MMA fan and you haven't watched Warrior, watch Warrior. It is excellent. It is amazing, and yeah, definitely one of my most recent additions on this list. Definitely love Warrior. Whiplash, one of the best performances of the 21st century with J.K. Simmons, and yeah, amazing movie from Damien Chazelle. Young Frankenstein, a Mel Brooks classic. I do love Young Frankenstein as well. Prefer Spaceballs, but Young Frankenstein can't really go wrong with that. And of course, Your Name. If I haven't said it, I'll say it again. Your Name is one of my favorite movies of all time. Definitely like top three anime movies and a very beloved one. I think the story is extremely touching. Um, I kind of said it, in some reviews and such like that, but I'm really glad to be alive when Your Name came out and at the age that I am, because that means I can go ahead and rewatch this movie for the rest of my life. So love, love, love Your Name. And that does it for the DVDs. Let's move on to the Blu-rays. All right, so we're over halfway there, and now we're going to move on to the Blu-rays. I have a total of 36. No, I've just done about like 40 different Blu-ray movies, including the collection, such like that. So yeah, we're going to go into the Blu-rays. First up is American Psycho. I have not really rewatched this much since the kind of the revival of the of Christian Bale's performance in this movie and all the Sigma memes and how this is one of those film bro associated movies, and so I've kind of disassociated from that. But I own American Psycho. I do really enjoy the movie. Avengers Endgame, a purchase that hasn't really aged well, not because I don't like the movie anymore, but because of Disney Plus. Don't really need to own it, and it's not like I own much of the MCU movies. I own some of them, as you'll see across the Blu-rays, but didn't really need it. But come on, like who didn't watch Endgame? For those, very few. There are people who don't care for superhero movies. Me, with I don't know what phase we're at, but this recent phase have phased out of it. But come on, man, like Avengers Endgame, don't really need to introduce why I have it. Lego Batman movie, probably my favorite Batman movie. Yes, above the Batman. Yes, above the Dark Knight and the Dark Knight Rises. This movie is perfect. This movie is perfect. It's so funny. It's so funny, so enjoyable. Great animation. I love this movie. I adore this movie. Watch Lego Batman if you haven't. Genuinely one of the best Batman movies. Next on Blu-rays is two movies that I just had to own on Blu-ray, and that is the Blade Runner movies. We have Blade Runner: The Final Cut alongside Denis Villeneuve's Blade Runner 2049. Love both these movies. These are two of my favorite sci-fi movies ever. And yes, the Blu-ray restoration for Blade Runner: The Final Cut is gorgeous. It looks amazing, the restoration. And of course, 2049 with Roger Deakins' phenomenal cinematography. These are both amazing movies. They're amazing looking. Love the story. I rewatch these pretty frequently. Let's see. So it goes like, okay, hold on. I have to reset up how I place these movies so I could put them back more easily when the time comes. All right, next up we have a little double feature, a Bruce Lee double feature, which includes The Big Boss and Fist of Fury, or alternatively titled Fist of Fury and the Chinese Connection. Bruce Lee didn't star in that many leading roles in at least martial arts movies in his lifetime, and so I definitely want to own all of them. And these movies are still really great. The first Bruce Lee movie I'd recommend would still be Enter the Dragon, but then follow up with these, yeah, you're just gonna have a great time. Very iconic martial arts movies. Castle in the Sky, another Studio Ghibli movie. Uh, Great action. I think this is the best, most action that we've seen from Hayao Miyazaki and across a lot of Studio Ghibli's filmography. Great movie. Great movie. Here we have the Dark Knight trilogy. Don't really need to go into detail. Recently bought, as you can see, it's still in its seal, still in its cellophane. And yeah, looking forward to rewatching these soon, especially with Oppenheimer giving me a lot of Nolan buzz. Definitely gonna, rewatch this soon. I say this a lot about pretty much every single martial arts movie that I own, but Legend of the Dragon Master is one of the best martial arts movies of all time. That climax and that final scene inside the not the warehouse, the coal factory, the factory, one of the best climaxes, final action set pieces across any movie ever. This movie's perfect. It's hilarious. Jackie Chan is in amazing form as this martial artist who's always getting into trouble and who's drunk a lot of the time. Some amazing, phenomenal choreography. This movie does not get old. Um, a masterpiece. I gotta say it again. Watch Legend of the Drunken Master. This is the second movie of Jackie Chan's Drunken Master series. The first one is pretty good, but the second one is far superior. You know, Legend of the Drunken Master, Drunken Master 2. Go ahead and check that out. Okay, next section. Everything Everywhere All at Once. My favorite movie of 2022. It is perfect. It is bizarre. It is its own. It's so unique. It's got almost everything I could want to in a movie. It's got amazing absurdist humor. It's got martial arts action, a predominantly Asian cast. Okay, you've probably heard of this movie by now, and I will have to say that I'm one of the people who is definitely in on the hype. This movie is fantastic. I look forward to rewatching it more and more in the years to come. And yeah, really historical movie, and I'm glad it was. I'm glad it got the Oscar attention. I know that Oscars on everything, but if anything I felt from 2022 deserved that buzz, it was Everything Everywhere All at Once. If you haven't seen it, go see it before Twitter tells you it's overrated. The Expendables trilogy, as of right now, the fourth one actually just opened, I think. Yes, the fourth one just opened. Gonna probably go see that soon, but I have the first three. The Expendables isn't like one of my all-time favorite action franchises, but it's a lot of fun. It's got some really entertaining action, and honestly, it's pretty funny, to be honest. Two Expendables 2 especially, I think kind of nailed the modern day action cheese. You know what I mean? I think in many years when people reference the cheesy action movies of the past, maybe like 20, 30 years from now, I would probably turn to Expendables as that kind of cheesy, I guess our modern day cheesy, which is interesting to think about. Fast Five. My mom randomly picked this up for me a few years ago because she knew I was collecting movies and I recently started. She got this for me because it was a few bucks. Shout out to my mom. Fight Club. So Fight Club is not one of my favorite movies ever. When I first watched it, I've watched it twice, and each time I watched it, I think it's good. I think they're entertaining, but it's not one of my favorite movies. So if you're a fan of Fight Club, like many people, I'm not really quite there yet. With that said, it's still enjoyable. I got this for free. A friend of my mom was just giving away a bunch of movies, and so if you're not a fan of Fight Club, you haven't seen it yet, this movie would not be among the first of my recommendations. But if you are a fan of Fight Club, know that I like the movie enough to accept it for free. Gintama the Final. You know how I feel about this movie. You know how I feel about this movie. Go ahead and check out my review of I guess my retrospective of Gintama, as well as like my review of this movie. One of my all-time favorite anime movies, to my favorite anime ever. Gintama the Final. Love it, love it, love it. We have the Grand Budapest Hotel, and this is the Criterion Collection edition. This movie's a delight. That's really how I could describe this movie. It is just a big delight. I wouldn't say I'm a fan of Wes Anderson in general, but I think he really popped off with his formula in terms of, you see the TikToks of, the Wes Anderson style. And I think he has perfected the most in Grand Budapest Hotel. Haven't rewatched it since I got it, but, probably will look forward to a rewatch soon. Definitely had to own it. I definitely would out. Grave of the Fireflies. This is not a fun movie. This movie will leave you depressed for a while, but it is a really visceral, realistic, and just an immersive experience of war and the negative side of it. And I think portraying just two young kids in a war is very 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 effective. Very effective movie. Once again, not one that I just wake up like, oh, let's rewatch Grave of the Fireflies for fun, but definitely a phenomenal movie. Excellent, excellent. Hero. Hero is another martial arts masterpiece. Amazing use of themes about defending your country, honor. Phenomenal color scheme and the themes of color. It's great use of color, reds, yellows, greens, and such like that. Amazing, phenomenal cinematography. Excellent action sequences. And for a movie that's like barely 90 minutes long, you really barely 100 minutes long, you get a lot out of this movie. Definitely recommend Hero. Uh, you know, as far as like my favorite, when it comes to my favorite martial arts actors, you know what I mean? There's Bruce Lee, there's Jackie Chan, who both have their amazing movies, and Jet Li. Probably as far as just quantity, he has like most of my favorite martial arts movies in terms of number. You know what I mean? I do prefer a lot of Jackie Chan movies over a lot of Jet Li movies, but as far as like the numbers for like my favorite martial arts movies of all time, like Jet Li, I think like makes the most appearances. So yeah, you do see a lot of Jet Li. Uh, Fast and Furious presents Hobbs and Shaw. I love this movie. Okay, I don't care what you guys say. I love Hobbs and Shaw. This is kind of like I think this kind of nailed the action formula. This movie has just the thinnest plot and the thinnest characters, just as an excuse to string together action sequences. Amazing chemistry from Dwayne Johnson and Jason Statham. Amazing action. If I'm being real, I love this movie. Gotta be honest, I love Hobbs and Shaw. And Iron Man 3, one of my favorite MCU movies. I do prefer over the original Iron Man. I might have to own it at some point, but honestly, I genuinely love this movie. I think it's a great closing to Iron Man's character. You know what I mean, with how that movie ended. And yeah, it's phenomenal. And I do hold this pretty closely. My dad took me to see all three of the Iron Man movies, and so this was the last time, the last of the Iron Man movies. And so yeah, seeing this with my dad was amazing. Okay, we're over halfway done with the Blu-ray pile, so now we're going in on it. Last of my Blu-rays, or I guess the second half of my Blu-rays. Jackass 3. I love the Jackass movies, to be honest. If you're a fan of Jackass, you're either a fan of Jackass or you're not. Okay, there are things that aren't for everybody in here, but if you love Jackass, then there's a lot of good stuff in here. I think three's the best, and I got that book off for only a few bucks. Totally worth it. Jackass 3. Okay, so now we have John Wick 3 and 4. Of course, with John Wick 4 recently coming out and then loving it, I'm like, okay, I gotta get it. I already had the first two, or the first three. Gotta get the fourth one. And John Wick 3 is probably my favorite in the franchise. I think John Wick 3 has the best quality among the franchise. And obviously, it is undisputed that John Wick 4 has the most quantity of the franchise. John Wick is one of the best, if not the best, modern action franchise. And so, yeah, definitely would recommend. Journey 2. I don't have Journey to the Center of the Earth. I just so happen to have Journey 2. An enjoyable movie, to be honest. Enjoyable adventure movie. Kiki's Delivery Service. I think I wouldn't say too underrated as far as Hayao Miyazaki's filmography goes, or Studio Ghibli in general. I genuinely love Kiki's Delivery Service. I think it's a really fun coming of age story. Like I said, I'm not really too versed in the coming of age genre, but when it comes to that, I think Kiki's Delivery Service stands very tall. Mad Max Fury Road, one of the best modern action movies. This movie is incredible. Amazing cinematography. George Miller just has the time of his life making this movie. This is nuts. And Tom Hardy's great in this movie too. Looking forward to Mad Max Furiosa. That should be awesome. And so is this on beautiful old Blu-ray. The Martian. I love The Martian. If not for Blade Runner, The Martian would be my favorite Ridley Scott movie, to be honest. He's made a lot of great movies, iconic movies. But I generally love The Martian. Owe a lot to Matt Damon's performance in this movie. Amazing, great sci-fi movie. And yeah, I do own The Martian. I love that movie. Nazca Valley of the Wind. I think that as far as the formula for, man versus nature, I think that Hayao Miyazaki will do better and surpass himself in other films, which I will go over. But Nazca Valley of the Wind is really, really good. One of the earlier Studio Ghibli movies, one of the first movies that Miyazaki directed, and it's great. It is great. Perfect Blue. Satoshi Kon's masterpiece, Perfect Blue, is a crazy cinematic experience. It's exhausting. It's I'm trying to come up with the words here, not like confusing, but I can't come up with a word right now. But it'll come to me. If you've seen Perfect Blue, you know. But this is just a words are failing me right now. Cinemas are failing me. It's twisted. It's disturbing. It's all of the disorienting. That's the word. It's a very disorienting watch. And while that might not make you the most comfortable, it's just so effective that I think it's a perfect movie. No pun intended, but it's so disorienting. It's so effective. If you're a fan of Black Swan, I would definitely recommend Perfect Blue because Perfect Blue definitely influenced Black Swan. Next up, we have Police Story, one of the best action, one of my favorite action franchises. This is a double feature Criterion Collection, which includes the first two Police Story movies. The first Police Story movie being probably my top 5, top 10 favorite movies of all time. I think it's just one of the best action movies ever. I think as far as humor, as far as stunts, as far as action, and even characterization, I think Jackie Chan really made a masterpiece in Police Story. And Police Story 2 is a lot of fun. I don't think as good as the first one, but still would hold up against a lot of action movies today. So yeah, the first two Police Story movies, Police Story 1, go watch Police Story 1 if you're a fan of action and you haven't seen it, especially if you love John Wick. Martin Scorsese's masterpiece, Raging Bull, one of the most, one of the greatest movies ever made. You guys know how I felt about this movie, how I felt when I first watched it, as well as when I rewatched it. I think this movie is captivating. Robert De Niro has one of the greatest performances at least I personally have ever seen across the movie, and Scorsese's direction and being able to tell the story of Jake LaMotta is just enthralling. Okay, love this movie. Definitely looking for a rewatch. I've been, with Kills of the Flower Moon coming out later this year. I'm definitely gonna go rewatch some more Scorsese movies. Wait a minute, I missed a Scorsese movie. It's over here because I rewatched it recently. Mean Streets. Mean Streets was over on my couch because I just rewatched it. That's why it wasn't in my DVD section. I love Mean Streets. Mean Streets is, as of right now, my favorite Scorsese movie. And yes, above Raging Bull. I love Raging Bull. Okay, and I love other movies like After Hours. But generally, Mean Streets is a lot of fun. I wouldn't really use that word to describe the movie. And I don't think critics and fans would say that either. But I think this movie is a lot of fun. Mean Streets. Love Mean Streets. It also has Robert De Niro in it, but I love Mean Streets. Okay, definitely recommend it if you haven't seen it, if you're a fan of Scorsese. Spirited Away. If you're a fan of anime, then this movie needs no introduction. Spirited Away is, one of, if not the most popular and well-known and critically acclaimed Studio Ghibli movie. And I think it's very well earned. It's not my personal favorite amongst Hayao Miyazaki or Studio Ghibli, but you really can't go wrong with Spirited Away. I mean, Spirited Away is perfect. I mean, it's an amazing movie, one of the best animated movies of all time. No introduction. Summer Wars, one of my comfort movies. It's been a while since I rewatched this. I think I've kind of started falling back to rewatching this near every Halloween for some reason. This isn't really a Halloween-esque movie, but for some reason I just put it on Halloween, and I've just kind of following that since. So just turned October, so probably look forward to a rewatch soon. All right, almost done. We have Top Gun. This is like a few bucks, and so I thought, why not Top Gun? And last but not least, we have one of my favorite comfort movies, Weathering with You. As you guys know, I love Your Name, and I think Weathering with You, while it is inferior and does copy the same formula, I don't give a shit. Okay, I love Weathering with You. It has some of my favorite animation. I think it has animation superior to Your Name, and even though it's tough competition, I do think that I prefer the Weathering with You soundtrack over the Your Name soundtrack. Okay, Radwimps really popped off with the soundtrack to these movies right here, and Weathering with You is also one of my favorite anime movies. All right, so there you have it. That is my movie collection. All right, so that's 100 movies across, the double features, such like that. I think for like the last part of this video, what I want to do is probably just quickly gauntlet style go off, just list off some of the movies that I want to eventually own or may look to own, because I don't know when the next movie update is going to be. So I want to get the Lego movie. Okay, I have the Lego Batman movie. Gotta get the Lego movie. I think that movie is also perfect. Ponyo. As a fan of Studio Ghibli, you probably were looking for Ponyo, and that's on here. I gotta own it. Haven't gone around to buying it yet, but that is definitely on the radar. Um, as a Christopher Nolan fan, I feel like I have to own Inception. Inception is one of my all-time favorites from Nolan, as well as one of my favorites ever, as well as Interstellar. I think those are the next Christopher Nolan movies I got to get. Scorsese, got to look for After Hours, which is one of my favorite Scorsese movies, and Taxi Driver, essential. Goodfellas, Scorsese, essential. And then I'm going to list off a bunch of martial arts movies that I've been kind of looking for. Maybe not really been rushing to get, but this is kind of on my radar. The Way of the Dragon, which is a Bruce Lee movie that also stars Chuck Norris. Speaking of Police Story, I have the first two movies. I actually love the first four, and that includes Police Story 3 Super Cop, featuring some phenomenal stunts, as well as Police Story 4, also known as Jackie Chan's First Strike, which I think is like arguably the most fun of the franchise and most over the top. Donnie Yen's Bodyguards and Assassins, I think that is also an amazing odyssey of martial arts. Fong Sayuk 2, I have the first one. I got to get the second one. I think both those movies are good. Jet Li's Shaolin Temple, one of my favorite Jet Li movies. It was his first movie. He started off as as a wuxia competitor, and then he kind of branched into acting. And Shaolin Temple was the first one that he did, and I think that movie is amazing. And I got to get it. It's hard to access because it's an older Chinese movie, so I haven't been able to find it physically, but gonna look for that. Shaolin Soccer, if you heard of Shaolin Soccer, it's kind of among the same vein as Kung Fu Hustle. Same actor, I believe the same director. You know if you're in the martial arts movie community, and of course Chang She's The Crippled Avengers. Those are the martial arts movies I want to get. Other movies that I would like to get, gotta get Top Gun Maverick. As you saw Top Gun, I feel like I kind of owe it to myself to get Top Gun Maverick. It is superior to the original, so I feel like I gotta own it at some point. Jurassic Park, I have to own. Jurassic Park, while Transformers Dark of the Moon is my favorite blockbuster of all time, my second favorite blockbuster and my favorite blockbuster of the 20th century is Jurassic Park. That is, one of my favorite of Spielberg's. It's an all-time classic. Gotta have it. Probably will get it at some point. I used to own a copy of Emperor's New Groove, which is one of my favorite Disney movies. Disney Pixar, is it? Yeah, Disney Pixar. Once again, with Disney Plus, really not as much priority to get it, but I had it at one point, so might as well get it. Love Emperor's New Groove. The original Star Wars trilogy, kind of the same thing. It's on Disney Plus, and also the Blu-rays and the physical editions are a little bit more costly because it's Star Wars. So I haven't really been rushing to get it, but would like the original Star Wars trilogy. I am a huge fan of Star Wars. Coen Brothers. I want to get Burn After Reading, the one with Brad Pitt and was it Francis McDormand? Yeah. George Clooney and such like that. Tilda Swanson. Love Burn After Reading. I want to get Denis Villeneuve's Enemy, which is one of my favorite from Denis Villeneuve. I think it's probably my second, even above Prisoners. I want to get Alfred Hitchcock's Rope. I think that's a fantastic movie. One of my favorite older movies. As far as like if I could take the farthest back in terms of movies I could go, as well as the movies that I love the most, Rope would be kind of among the rotation of like the oldest as well as the ones that I love the most. Tokyo Godfathers, I think, is another amazing Satoshi Kon movie. It's I probably would consider Perfect Blue a superior movie, but Tokyo Godfathers is way more fun to rewatch. Way more fun to rewatch. So gotta get Tokyo Godfathers. I want to get the original 1980s Transformers movie. I want to get Mulan. Once again Disney Plus. But if I have Mulan too, I gotta fill up with the original Mulan, and that about does it. So there you have it. That is my movie collection. All 100 movies. Actually, let's get a shot. Let's get a shot there real quick. And so there it is. There's my full, complete movie collection in its full glory. So yeah, thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed going over a lot of my favorite movies with me. This isn't everything because there's just so many movies out there, but definitely a glimpse into my movie taste. So go ahead and leave me in the comments down below your favorite movies of all time. What does your movie collection look like? How many movies do you have? Do we share any movies in our collection? Do you collect movies? Do you just prefer streaming? What movies have you gone back to rewatch so many times? What movies would you own if you had a movie collection? Go ahead and share all that down below in the comments with me. Don't forget to subscribe, comment, like, click on that bell, all that stuff for more movie videos. And yeah, so thank you all for watching this Odyssey of a video. And yeah, I'll catch you later.